Jesse, especially after that 2-0 loss in DC, how nice is it to bounce back ahead of the NYCFC game with a big 3 points here?
Yeah, we took the DC loss really hard. But to come back and respond, and listen, this game was never going to be wide open. It was never going to be a 3, 4, 5 goal game. Chicago doesn't play in games like that. They keep things very tight. They make themselves very hard to break down, and they see if they can catch you on the counter. So all those things we can be very susceptible to, and we can give up goals. And the fact that we got a shutout against some very dangerous attacking players on the counter, I think was a big step for us. And to grind out a game 1-0, right? We haven't done that all year. We haven't shown the ability to, in a tight game, come out as the victor. So for me, that was a really important game for us, important for us to be in, and important for us to get the result.
Jesse, to your right with Mark.
Jesse, you kind of addressed a little bit about how you knew it was going to be tight. It seemed like there were some points in the first half where guys were getting a little bit frustrated. How did you fight that? Did you talk about that at the half a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get frustrated in a game like that. Again, because they're sitting back, and any ball you lose winds up in a 60, 70-yard sprint the other way. But we knew that going in. We tried to prepare them for it, and I think overall, actually, the frustration level stayed fairly in check, and the guys stayed focused on what it was going to take to win the game. Like, we knew that this game was going to come down to being able to make a play, but was going to be more about our ability to stay totally concentrated on what the game was going to look like. Listen, the game played the way Chicago wanted it to. They sat back, they made it hard, and when we lost balls, then they went on the counter, and then they were a little dangerous at times. So those are the kind of games they play in, and as much as you feel like you have a grasp on things, one little slip up and you can be down 1-0. So again, overall, our concentration and mentality to deal with that kind of game was good.
Jesse, we'll go to your right with Christian.
I know last year you wore the service pin for the Vance brothers. Can you just talk about your armband tonight with the TY initials on it?
Yeah, one of our most loyal fans has been through a lot lately. And so, we all just wanted to kind of show solidarity and tell him that we're all behind him and make sure that he knows that we're thinking about him. And that 3 points tonight was for him. So we're not going to talk about who it is, but, it's somebody that's very close to us. And I was really proud of the guys to be able to go out tonight and get the win.
Jesse, we'll go to your left with Tom.
Jesse, can you talk about the play that Sam makes to force the turnover to get the goal?
Yeah, I mean, we felt that the way to find the goal was most likely going to be through a turnover. As much of possession as we had, we still felt that if we could find a way that to press them, if we lost the ball, to go and win it right back and then play balls forward and go at them, that was when they would be most unbalanced. Because anytime we got the ball and started to just play backwards or sideways, they just got numbers behind the ball, and it makes it very hard to break down. So Lloyd made a very good play, got it into Brad. That whole little combination that set Mike up was a very good play. So it was good to see us be rewarded for what we thought we could be rewarded for.
Jesse, we'll go to your right with Russ.
The back line put in a great performance tonight, great defensive performance. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Obviously, one of the things is getting a clean sheet, and we haven't done that much this year, only one other time. There have been so many different contributors to the back line, and it's been hard to create any kind of a rhythm. And now, we had another game where we have a different back line than we had last week. So it's been really hard on that sense. It's been frustrating. We've had to grind through moments with different back lines and playing guys outside backs at center back and everything else. So the good news was that, Chris Duval stepped up big tonight. And we thought it was going to be the kind of game that actually Chris could be effective in, a game that would involve counters, a game where we would need speed back there. So overall, I thought that Chris did really well. Aurelian competed and battled and did all the things that we know he's about. And I thought Connor was probably our best player on the night. His ability to shut down some really good attacking players, the heart he shows, the work rate he shows, the ability to shut guys down and then get right back up and help provide an option with the ball. I mean, what do you say about a guy like that? It's a pleasure to coach him. So overall, I thought 4 good performances on the back line.
Jesse, we'll go to your left with Eric.
Jesse, after you had three straight results going into the DC match, then you had a little bit let down. What's the message to the guys now that you have a win and you're going into obviously a huge game against NYCFC to keep momentum going?
Well, the last thing we talked about is that we have a big game on Sunday or Saturday, and I looked at the lineup. New York City sat a lot of guys, so they got 2 good results on the road. They're going to come back home with a lot of confidence, as they should, and they're a much improved team. Patrick Vieira's done a great job with that team. We know we're in for a huge challenge, but I promise you that will be something that we'll be up for. We can't wait. We're really excited for that match.
Jesse, we'll go straight ahead with Ivis.
Following up on Connor, he took a beating today. Got elbowed, got cut. Someone jumped off, landed on him.
Yeah.
He just kept going and kept playing. And even though he doesn't get a lot of playing time, when he does play, he always brings it. Who does he kind of remind you of? You've been around the league for a long time. Is there anyone that comes to mind that kind of reminds you, former teammates or anyone that you faced?
He's different, but Chris Armas was a bit like that. Chris Armas was a guy who was up for every challenge, never backed down, was a guy you could count on for every play, never took a play off, was always battling through certain situations, winning his battles, winning almost every duel he was in, and they're not exactly the same, because I think that as great an engine as Chris had, that Connor probably's engine's even better. But that's obviously a great compliment to Connor to compare him to a guy like Chris Armas. But Connor is a guy that we know what we can count on at any time. And I always try to remind myself, I said this last year, not to take him for granted, because it's easy to take a guy like that for granted, because he's always in it for the team. He's always in it to do whatever it takes to help his teammates, to be up for the challenge. But the reason I put him on the field tonight was because I felt like we needed more of that in our team, and we needed a performance like that, and he gave exactly what we thought he would. So, and the other one, I didn't mention Kamar when I talked about the back line, but I thought Kamar did really well with the matchups, did really well with making sure that he was alert at all moments and that nothing got away from him. Had some great recovery runs, tackles, head balls in the box. Really great effort from the overall back line altogether.
Jesse, we'll go to your left with Tom.
After the 1-6 start, are you seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, or is there still more work to be done? It's not like all of a sudden we've become a bad team. I know it's still got all the makings of a good team. It's been challenged in a big way, right? And the key was to try to continue to force feed certain messages so that we could get ourselves over the hump. Now, I don't take anything for granted right now. We're gonna have to grind out a lot of games this year, a lot more than we did last year. But even when I go through last year, there were a lot of moments where, we had some quality and scored some goals, but we had to battle and fight and claw our way through every week, and that's what this league is. So the more that we can grasp that, the more that we can understand that, the more that we can put it out there on the field like we did tonight, then the more results we're going to get.
We'll take our last question back right.
I just wanted to get an update on Mike Rella's status, as well as if Connor Lade, you think he's going to be okay going forward.
So Mike just felt some hamstring tightness. So I think he did a wise thing. He said he didn't feel a pull. It just felt tight. So it could be anything from a cramp to a small little pull. So we'll be hopeful that it's in the cramp category and that we can, get him recuperated and recovered and ready to go for Saturday. But we'll have to just wait and see.